109,500 hours. That's the total amount of time you'll waste on your devices in your lifetime. The majority of people in our community spends 5 or more hours unproductively on their devices. Assuming that you're in your teens or 20s, you've got around 60 years left to live. 5 hours per day times 365 days per year times 60 years equals 109,500 hours. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. So this begs the question, what kind of expertise are we gaining from scrolling all these hours? We become grandmasters of passive consumption. The skill of becoming a consumer, passively allowing life to fly by us, losing the ability to think for ourselves, and allowing our creative spirit to atrophy. So why do we spend so much time on our devices? The truth? It's a symptom of a much deeper underlying issue. Loneliness, feeling lost, overwhelmed, low self-esteem. Life is full of suffering, and our screens give us temporary relief from these painful emotions. Addiction isn't about substance. You can be addicted to anything that eases discomfort. Dr. Gabor Mate. Do you think people voluntarily sign up to become drug addicts? No. Seeing addicts curled up on the cold streets is enough justification for anyone to try to avoid that life. Yet, many still fall victim to addiction. This is because drugs are a powerful painkiller that offers an escape from the struggles of life. Addiction is a symptom of a deeper underlying issue. A story I think about is the story of US-Vietnam War veterans. During the war, drug use became rampant and many soldiers became addicted. However, upon returning home, many of them just stopped. This was because of two main reasons. 1, drugs were no longer easily accessible. 2, they were no longer in a combat zone. Once back home, soldiers were no longer facing constant trauma, fear, and dangers. They no longer needed drugs to cope with these painful emotions, and they no longer had easy access to drugs. The challenge and solution to our screen addictions have a lot of overlap with this story. I've personally struggled with social media, gaming, and even porn. Recognizing that these things were detrimental to my life, I looked everywhere for solutions. But nothing worked until I addressed my root problem. But before I share with you my CBC, Clarify, Block, Community method that I used to cut down my screen time by 80%, we need to take a step back and get more perspective on this issue. Social media and porn are hardcore drugs. The DSM-5 is a comprehensive classification system used by healthcare professionals for the diagnosis of mental disorders. While there are no official criteria for phone addictions, we can take a look at the criteria used for the clinical diagnosis of substance use disorder for drug and alcohol addicts. Let's play a game. Check off all the criteria that apply to your screen usage. 1. Using more than intended. 2. Persistent desire or unsuccessful attempts to cut down. 3. A lot of time spent obtaining, using, or recovering from the substance. 4. Cravings or strong urges to use. 5. Failure to fulfill major roles at school, work, or home due to substance. 6. Continued use despite interpersonal problems. 7. Giving up on important activities, social, work, or fun because of use. 8. Using the substance even when it puts you in danger. 9. Continued use despite knowing it's causing psychological or physical harm. 10. Tolerance, needing more for the same effect. And 11. Withdrawal, experiencing symptoms when not using. Care to guess how many of these criteria you need to fulfill to be clinically diagnosed with addiction? It's 2. You're not just using your phone a lot, you're clinically addicted to your devices. But this isn't by accident. These apps have been engineered meticulously to make them as addictive as possible. They are hardcore drugs on the internet with one purpose: to capture the world's most important commodity, time and attention. Time and attention are the world's most valuable commodities. Warren Buffett, the world's 6th richest man, is a 94-year-old billionaire worth $154 billion. He has a life of abundance, and he can do anything that his heart desires for the rest of his life. Here's a question that I have for you. Would you permanently give up your youth to become Warren Buffett, a 94-year-old billionaire? You can live the life of your dreams, but as a 94-year-old. Yes or no? Most people would say no. That's because he has a very old and frail body, but more importantly, he doesn't have a lot of time left. And you know what? If I were in his shoes, I would give everything to buy back my youth. Now, here's where things get crazy if you answered no. He's a 94-year-old, and assuming you're in your teens or 20s, you just valued around 70 years of your life at $154 billion. That means you just valued 1 hour of your life at $251,141. Let that sink in. Even if you weren't aware of the value of your time, social media companies absolutely are. In 2024, the leading social media companies reported the following annual revenues. Facebook, $80.7 billion. Instagram, $49.8 billion. YouTube, $30.5 billion. TikTok, $16.1 billion. But we use these apps for free, right? So this begs the question, where is all this money coming from? Social media companies make money by selling advertisement spots on their platforms. In other words, they sell your time and attention to advertisers. The more eyes on their platform and ads, the more money that they make. In order to accomplish this, social media companies invest billions to make their platform as addictive as possible. Social media isn't free. You are the product. But there's still hope. I was able to cut down my screen time by 80%, and this is exactly how I did it. 3 steps to reduce screen time. My life has significantly improved since reducing my screen time. Before, feeling aimless, numb, brain dead, procrastinating on life goals. After, built a YouTube channel, finished my master's with a 4.0, better relationships with my family members, and improved productivity. I'll be the first to admit that I still struggle with excessive screen time from time to time, but I've been able to cut down significantly on my screen usage, and it's had undeniable benefits. You can do the same by following these 3 steps. Clarify your cause, block out ruthlessly, and find your community. I'll walk you through this CBC method step by step. Step 1, clarify your cause. You remember how I mentioned addiction is a symptom of a deeper underlying issue? The first step is to identify this underlying issue. The root issue for a lot of people struggling with addiction is oftentimes low self-esteem or anxiety. For me, these negative emotions were caused by a lack of clarity in my life. I didn't have clear meaning in my life, and I felt very overwhelmed. Research shows that meaninglessness in life is the top variable associated with pornography usage. Dr. Alok Kanoja. If you're addicted to social media or porn, it's because you have no purpose that you'd rather be pursuing. Perhaps there's something you think you should be doing, but nothing authentic to you. So we need to create a purpose or mission that you can invest energy towards. This will give us a reason to reduce our screen time. In order to gain more clarity and create a mission for myself, I went through these 3 steps. 1, realigning myself with my ideal life. 2, committing to 3 key goals for 1 to 3 months. 3, cutting out distractions that were overwhelming me. Clarity comes from action. But first, you need to articulate an ideal life that aligns with your values and beliefs. You already know this, but oftentimes this vision is clouded by social pressures, lack of trust you have for yourself, and lack of courage to be authentic and genuine. To cut through that noise and identify your purpose, write down your ideal life and unideal life in as much detail as possible. You can write this out on paper or using my clarity tracking system. What does your daily routine look like? How does your mind and body feel? What kind of work are you doing? Forget the job titles, focus on the work. What is preventing you from achieving your ideal life? What is bringing you closer to your unideal life? These are good starting points. It's difficult to know with 100% conviction that you'd actually enjoy living out your ideal life. However, it does give us a destination to start moving towards rather than staying stagnant. Once you have a purpose or a vision of an ideal life, you can start implementing tasks that are in alignment with your purpose. Create 3 key goals you can pursue to align your life more closely to this ideal life and commit to them for 1 to 3 months. For example, if in your ideal life you have a deep relationship with your family members, commit to planning weekly hangouts with your family members. If in your ideal life you help animals, commit to the goal of volunteering at an animal clinic or zoo for 1 to 2 hours a week. If in your ideal life you're building a tech company that helps to spread education, commit to the goal of learning how to code and work on a small project in the next 3 months. Finally, cut out distractions. It's difficult to make any progress if you have too many things going on, cluttering your mind. Identify distractions that are not aligned with your vision and remove them from your life in a responsible manner. For example, I was volunteering at a hospital during my master's. However, finishing this program with high grades was more important to me at the time. So I emailed my supervisor, letting her know that I would need to take a few months off to focus on finishing my master's. You don't need permission to start pursuing your dreams anymore. Replace your addictions with actions that are going to bring you closer to your purpose. 2. Block out ruthlessly. Your brain convinced you to waste thousands of hours on your screen. Do not trust your brain. Motivation is unreliable, and the moment we feel negative emotions like boredom, anxiety, or stress, we'll reflexively reach for our phones, re-download our apps, and get sucked into another 3-hour scroll spiral. So don't just try to use your phone less by deleting apps off your phone. That's like an alcoholic saying they'll drink responsibly while they put a vodka in their drawer where they can't see it. We need to systematically design an environment to make access to these apps as difficult as possible and make pursuing goals effortless. As a matter of fact, pursuing your goals becomes almost impossible when you have access to easy dopamine. Dopamine is not a problem. Too much pleasure experienced too often without prior requirement for effort in order to achieve that pleasure or dopamine is terrible for us. It lowers our baseline levels of dopamine and the potency of all experiences. Dopamine without prior effort is detrimental to our reward circuitry and our ability to do hard things that matter to us. When I realized this, I went all in. I installed app blockers and asked my family to put in passwords so that it was difficult to access social media and porn without first asking my family members. I deleted every addictive app off my phone and tablet and blocked them so I couldn't re-download the apps. I blocked all distracting websites on all my devices, and I scheduled the entire day the night before, so I always had something better to do than scroll. This wasn't about being extreme. It was about reclaiming my life. Ruthlessly block out apps that you're addicted to. No excuses. But Taro, I need social media to talk to friends. Use texting apps or talk to them in person. But Taro, I need social media for new ideas and inspirations. Read a book. But Taro, I need social media for work. Keep social media only on your work computer and use it only at work or in a public space. But Taro, life is full of suffering and social media helps me to escape the pain. Fair enough. But if you're not willing to completely sacrifice your bad habits for the life of your dreams, you're simply not ready for change. But if you're ready, there are plenty of apps and built-in functions that can help to block out distractions. It isn't foolproof, but it does the job. Here are some of my recommendations. Cold Turkey, which can be used on Mac and Windows, OneFocus on Mac, 1 second on all devices, as well as built-in screen time functionalities. The easiest blocker to implement would be the built-in screen time functionalities on your devices. It's also free. Most devices have a parental control feature that allows you to control the websites and apps you can access. On Apple devices, go to System Settings, Screen Time, and then turn on Screen Time. On Android devices, go to Settings, go to Digital Wellbeing and Parental Controls, then go to Dashboard. Here's your commitment challenge. 1. Take 30 minutes today and ruthlessly block every addictive app and website from your devices and then delete them. 2. Once you turn on the blocking feature, ask someone you trust to put in a password. If you feel hesitant to do this, remember that most people will waste 109,500 hours on their devices in their lifetime. That's enough time to become a world-class expert at 11 different skills. What 11 skills or areas of knowledge would you master if you suddenly had 109,500 hours? Become an expert in ancient Greek literature, become a chess master, learn 5 different languages, write your own book, spend time with your grandparents. Anything is possible. Now ask yourself, is becoming a master of doom scrolling on social media and watching porn on that list? 3. Find your community. Unfortunately, You're going up against multi-billion-dollar companies and all the stressors of your life. You stand no chance against them, at least not alone. There is strength in numbers, and the only way you're going to cut down your screen time is by finding people who can support you through that process. People that can keep you on track. For me, this was friends, family, and my YouTube community. I check in with friends who are also cutting down screen time. I started a challenge with my younger brother to cut out easy dopamine, and I stream on a regular basis and connect with people I care about, which keeps me accountable and focused. This support system can really come from anywhere. Your friends, your family, religious community members, teachers, healthcare practitioners, etc. But what I want you to do today is to find one person that you can trust and open up to them about your struggles and ask for help. Then find a community that you can get involved in on a regular basis that will bring you closer to your ideal self. You don't need to go through this alone. Correction, you can't go through this alone. There are people that want to help you. Reach out to them and get connected. Following these 3 steps will drastically reduce your screen time. It's easy to be pulled back into your addictions, but you need to remind yourself why you're trying to cut down your screen time in the first place. As a recap, the steps are: 1. Clarify your purpose and why you want to reduce screen time. 2. Block out all distracting apps and put a password on your blocker. 3. Find your community. Social and emotional support are going to be essential in overcoming this addiction. Now, this isn't going to be easy. You're going to have setbacks, and your brain will constantly tell you to check your phone. But it's in these moments that you have to decide between fighting for a better life or slipping back into your old ways. Most people will waste 109,500 hours, but you won't. Not anymore. Spend the next 72 hours implementing the CBC method and let me know your results down below. If you want extra help finding clarity, check out my clarity tracker in the description down below. But otherwise, that's it for this video. I'll expand on some of these ideas in future videos, but in the meantime, let me know what you thought, and definitely let me know if you're committing to reducing your screen time. Hope you got something out of this video. Thank you very much for watching till the very end, and enjoy the rest of your day.